Hey friends, we're back for another episode of the Day One podcast. I'm Brett Nord.
I'm Adam Daly.
We have a special guest today, don't we?
Yes, we do. Senior engineer, BJ Homer.
Hello.
He's senior as well as speaks Spanish,
That's
so
right.
senor.
I stole your
Nice
joke.
tie.
I'm
That's
sorry.
not a joke. It's for real.
It was great. We're excited to be back with a new episode. If you're new to the show, what we are doing is keeping everyone aware, creating a community is what we
Yes.
decided we wanted to do.
Right.
Of Day One users, keep them apprised of what's going on in the development world, what's coming up, and also get like user interviews, talk about how people use the app, and we're kind of making our way through the company. We talked with Paul 2 weeks ago, and now we've got our senior engineer, BJ, on with us today. And we're excited to talk,
BJ.
ask some questions to him, and get his insights. So
I'm happy to be here.
Yeah.
It's a long commute, wasn't it, from
Yeah, all the way
your
across
office?
the room.
Yeah.
It's also, we're recording on May the 4th, and so we're kind of geeking out here with Star Wars stuff.
Yes.
We all wore our T-shirts. What does yours say?
Oh, mine's not actually.
Oh, it's not.
Oh,
Lame.
no fail.
Yeah.
That's okay. He wore a Boba Fett mask earlier.
He did.
Which was pretty great.
Yes, we have pictures to prove it. And since it's episode 4, that's also my favorite Star Wars, A New Hope.
That is a good one. I remember
I can tell
watching
it's not
it
your
on,
favorite.
Well, I remember watching it on Laserdisc at my uncle's house.
Nice.
You remember? Oh, man.
Like the size of
70.
a record,
Yes,
right? But
a
shiny.
giant CD that is the size of a record.
Sure.
And you slide it into the machine and it pulls it out. But what I loved about that was the artwork because it was so big.
Sure.
You know,
Yeah.
as opposed to a VHS case or a DVD case.
And didn't you have to turn that over like halfway through the movie?
I think you did.
Flip the
Yep,
side.
I think you had to flip the movie. Oh man, technology.
And special features, right? That was kind of one of the big things
No,
they did.
I don't remember
It's
that
before?
actually.
Okay.
I don't remember that actually, but
Interviews.
I'm really excited about the Solo movie. So
Yes.
I know I'm not plugging anything. I'm just geeking out about
course.
Star Wars stuff. So
That's right.
May the 4th be with you all.
Yes.
And welcome to the episode
four.
today. Yeah, exactly. But we just wanted to start out with some little bit of housekeeping. We don't have anything major to announce for today's episode other than just a couple of updates that are coming out soon. We're working on version 2.7 for both iOS and Mac, which won't have any major updates. It will have some bug fixes and some visual updates to the iOS journal drawer, which I think are going to be great, actually.
Mm-hmm.
And a new view for the filters, I believe, that may be included with that as well, which it just enhances the way you filter your entries and can search through past entries and stuff like that. So I'm excited about what that'll look like, and we'll update our help pages so that you can see what those changes are as it comes out. So stay tuned.
And we've got BJ here to keep us in check.
That's
on
right.
What we say. We can't overpromise.
You guys, it's going to be the best update ever.
That's right.
Totally. Never been a better update.
And version 3.0 is still coming out. We're still working on that with the new editor and audio and hopefully dark mode as well included in that. So it's going to be a bigger release.
Darth mode? Do you say
Darth mode. That's right.
Nice.
We just need to throw in puns all the time. Star Wars puns throughout this episode.
Deal.
I think that's just what we need to do. So
Let's do it.
The more subtle you can slip it in there, the better. That's
Gotta
my
work
vote.
on it.
Right, meow.
Perfect. I want to talk about some of the feedback we've been getting. And I've mentioned it last episode. I've just been frankly blown away by the attention that people have given, replies with feedback, pros and cons, constructive criticism, as well as things they want to see more of.
Yeah.
And it's really been helpful. In fact, I've decided that I rather than just replying to everyone, which I have, and thanking them for their feedback, and of course we always want more, I've been reaching out to them and doing more of an interview process where rather than just, again, having an email reply, this way we can share on these podcasts
Yes.
with the user and hear from their voice. I know a lot of podcasts do that where you call in and leave a voicemail. I think this is better. We
Yeah.
actually have some interaction with them.
The one-on-one kind of interview style. And what I like about this too, as Brett and I were discussing it, is that it'll give us a chance to have more people on the show through these interactions.
Yes.
Rather than being able to interview a ton of our different users, we'll be able to include these more frequently and get to you more often.
Exactly. And we've had some consultants, kind of productivity consultants, lifestyle coaches, and they're great. They want to do a whole hour, like the full podcast, and kind of promote a book or whatever, and that's fine. But I've loved that we've had users that use the product, use Day One, and a lot of innovative ways, and just say, hey, I'd love to share that. And that's their motive, is just to help the community, help others use Day One in new ways.
So we have one right now, right?
We do. We're going to play one in a second. Let me just tell you quickly about, I met with Karen from Tennessee, and just lovely interview. She was great. Loved her accent, loved her personality. She's got grandkids. She talks about how she uses Day One, how she has used it for 4 years almost daily. I think she actually said yes since she started after the first month. She hasn't missed a day. She also, every 6 months, prints books, so printed books of all of her entries. She has one she started of course, her personal diary, but she also started one for her grandkids of her childhood.
Oh, cool.
So she recounts stories with photos, and it's just a great way to do it. And so let's play a little bit of that interview now.
I'm Karen from Tennessee.
Do you remember your first entry?
Well, I looked it up after we decided to do this, and it was a gratitude entry, a picture of my grandchildren eating a popsicle outside at my house, and it just basically said, I'm so thankful for the love that my grandchildren bring into my life. It's a great app. I really love it.
Oh, good.
I've been using it since 2012. But I was real sporadic in the beginning.
Sure.
But beginning in May of 2013, I haven't missed a single day.
Good for you. That's great.
What I do is I have a reminder at 3 o'clock every day, and I sit down with my coffee in the den and recall the day before. I don't try to do the day before, so that I have a photo. I'm like a lot of people, I like a photo. And then I very often have a nice story. But if I don't have a nice story, then I just kind of recall the day and put a little gratitude toward the end.
Sure.
But with grandchildren around, there's always a story. I was taking a workshop, and one of the artists there said, the palest ink is better than the best memory. I'm in a big community of about 10,000 scrapbookers, and I am constantly telling them, try this app. You will be surprised at how much you love it. And I've recruited quite a few.
Great. Good. Well, thank you.
Because once they use it, it goes from, oh yeah, journal to, oh wow.
Isn't she great?
Yeah. I liked the habit part is important, I think, in journaling, where it's not, if it is more spread out, as long as it's consistent, I think that's what matters and what's going to be the most beneficial to people as far as, the health benefits, the emotional benefits that you can get from it, is that habit that you can create, whether it's through a reminder, through a calendar event, whatever it is. As long as you can stick to a plan, it's going to work out better for you.
I loved how Karen talked about a ritual, and I think that's important. She kind of creates this environment where she has her cup of coffee, she sits down, she knows she's going to do her journaling then. Yeah. And that was something I found really fun from these interviews I've done so far. I've done about a dozen. I'm planning to do a lot more, but just how everyone seems to have their own ritual, their own way of doing it, some have a special place they go to and they journal, and we're going to share those. It's been great.
And that was one of the things I talked about at Roots Tech this past year is make journaling yours. You got to define what it means for you.
Yes.
And then stick to that. And whether that's writing down a few details about the day or writing about memories or writing, whatever it is, you define that for yourself. Because there's no one way to journal, I think. It's what you make of it.
Yes.
And if you make it yours, I think it's easier to stick to something.
That's right.
Anyway, great interview. I love that. And we want other people to join in as well, so you can schedule time with us.
Absolutely. I signed up with a service called Calendly. It's a tongue twister there.
It's not Calendarly?
No, there's no E and R in it.
Okay.
I know. So it's calendly.com/day1app. So calendly.com. That way,
and we'll put a link in the description of this episode.
Yeah, for sure. When you go to that link, you'll see a couple options: a 15-minute chat or a 30-minute chat. So that way, again, depending on your time, you can tell me about your process. I have a few questions to kind of get things started. But what's been fun is it's just been more organic to let a user say, "Hey, here's what I want to share with the community." So it's been great. We look forward to more.
Well, thank you, Karen, for sharing with us, and we expect to hear many more from our community later on.
Absolutely.
So now we want to get into the meat and potatoes of this episode, our interview with Senior Engineer B.J. Homer. But first, we're going to make him rap Hamilton.
You guys, I just went to Hamilton, what was it, a week ago, and I love it. Oh my gosh, I love
Hasn't
it so
stopped
much.
talking about it.
I don't know how you can.
That's true.
And again, we're not paid by Hamilton or anything, but what a fun musical. And I learned stuff too.
Sure.
History that I did not pay attention to in school. But then all of a sudden when it's made into rap and put on Broadway, it's entertaining and fun.
I think every topic and subject should be taught that way.
Yes, absolutely.
In song
Or
form.
some other way, right?
Sure.
Some other fun, enjoyable way. But I got to be honest with you, I teared up at the end.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not an emotional person on the outside very much, but it's emotionally impacting.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've listened to the soundtrack so much. Like, I went in already knowing all the music. I could sing along, but like seeing it in person, and you have this connection with the characters that you just don't have from listening to the music. And at the end, it's like, wow, it's just heartbreaking.
Yeah. The $10 founding father without a father got a lot farther by working a lot harder, by being a lot smarter, by being a self-starter. By 14, they placed him in charge of a trading charter.
Amazing.
Bam! Just kidding. That's
Washington
like my
ain't
favorite.
gonna listen to dissident. Gosh, I feel
That one's
Washington
hard.
ain't gonna listen to dissident diffidence. This is the difference. This kid is out.
That one's hard.
Wow. I'm impressed. You
Uh,
love us, but not too impressed. Yeah.
Anyway, let's get down to talking with BJ. I've known BJ now for 2 years. I've been here for that long. But
Yeah.
You've been here longer.
I've been almost 5 years now.
5 years with Day One. Why don't you give us a little bit of your background, just in like engineering and stuff like that, and how you got to Day One?
Yeah, so I started working at an online backup company shortly before I graduated. I took an internship there. They liked me so much that they tried to convince me to stay around. So I told them I was going to just be around for the summer, and then I was going to go back and do grad school. And by the end of the summer, I was like, yeah, never mind, I'm going to stay here. This is fun.
Nice.
And so I stuck around, stayed there for 2 years, worked on their Mac app, and started an iPhone app for them. And then I went off with some friends to do what was a startup at the time and has become a huge company at Instructure.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Instructure
Education
is a
software.
big company.
So worked on software for students to submit homework and stuff online, and that was fun. Did a lot of iOS work there, and when I was working back at the first company, my friend Ben was working there too, and he was working with Paul to build the initial version of Day One.
This is Ben Dolman, right?
Ben Dolman, yeah. And the whole time as he was doing that, I was jealous. I was like, I could make something cool like that. I was seeing Day One get featured on the App Store, and I was like, I could do that just as well as Ben. Had this like pride thing going on. So whatever, time goes by, and a few years later, they come and say, hey, BJ, would love to get some help, and eventually they talked me into it. And so then I've been here for 5 years.
Awesome. Now, just for my own curiosity, and maybe it would help some of our community, but did you always do development in the Apple ecosystem? Had you done any other development outside of that?
This was the first real professional stuff that I did. It has all been Apple. In school you kind of do whatever comes along. But yeah,
and you're a Padawan.
Yeah, I started out. I ended up having a Mac laptop just kind of by accident. My brother had an extra one and let me borrow it. And so I took my initial computer science programming projects, and I was like, well, I'm going to see if I can make this run like inside an Apple window. Yeah. Just taking the same text-based interface and put it inside a window to make it cute.
As far as like computer development, engineering and stuff like that, is that something you always wanted to do?
Yeah. So I grew up and I had this constant debate going on. The other thing that I considered doing for a long time was piano performance. So,
yes, that is correct. BJ is an accomplished pianist.
Yeah, so I kind of joke that I'm good at anything that has a keyboard.
Yeah.
But I would go back and forth every 3 months and just couldn't decide what to do. And finally I decided that, piano is fun and I enjoy doing that, but I can do that on the side and still actually make money if I do the computer thing.
That's interesting. I like that. What's a kind of a typical day in the life of an engineer at a smaller company like this?
So a lot of times we'll start off the week and we'll say, okay, these are the priorities we want to work on this week. Maybe we've got these bugs or these features that we want to implement, maybe a few user interface changes. We'll divide that out among our engineers and then just kind of get to it. So I'll come in the morning, catch up on email, make sure there's nothing urgent going on, and then just kind of take the top thing off the list and start working on it. In my position as a senior engineer here, I do spend a lot of time helping out some of our other developers.
Yeah.
Answering questions, helping them debug.
Kind of the Jedi Master of the...
Absolutely.
To the
He is
Padawans.
the Yoda here, for sure. Well, and with that, I've noticed also that you've taken opportunity, because about a year ago, maybe, or a little more, we hired some interns that eventually became junior engineers, basically. And you've had opportunity to kind of teach as well.
Yeah, and it's been so much fun to watch them grow and develop. You know, at the beginning there, I spent a lot of time answering questions, and it's been fun to see them as they develop. They start being able to answer each other's questions and answer questions for other people, and it's awesome to. That's another one of the things that I'm really passionate about is teaching people, helping people understand, see the light come on in their eyes.
Awesome. That's great, and I think it's made made our company better at being able to have that kind of interaction and develop younger engineers. Because it seems like sometimes you go to a job and they want experience, and then they're like, okay, well, how can I get a job if nobody will give me experience? You know, but we've definitely give people opportunity here.
Yeah, and we've had a lot of success with that. We've had some great engineers come on that didn't have a lot of previous experience, but they've been awesome. Yeah, it's been so great to work with them.
Cool. I wanted to also talk about encryption.
Sure.
Because it's kind of your baby. And you've worked with server engineers as well. You were working more on the client side of encryption, but really you were kind of the head of that. Tell us about encryption. What did it take to get there? Pros, cons, I don't know.
Sure. So one question that people ask is why do we even take the time to do all this encryption stuff? People are trusting us. People are trusting Day One with their personal thoughts, with their journal. I mean, this is very private stuff.
Yeah.
And we want to be able to guarantee that we're not mining that information. We're not digging into it for any particular reason. And so when we added encryption, that really lets us guarantee that there's no way we can get the user's data. Of course, that's tricky because if we can't get your data, how do your other devices get your data?
Right.
How are we syncing it through? And so that encryption was a lot of fun to work on because it allows us to guarantee things to the user and really build the user's trust in us by saying we can't be doing anything bad with this. We can't, law enforcement shows up for whatever reason, we don't have anything to give them.
Right, because the user holds the key themselves. Nobody has access to it.
Yeah, it's all just theirs.
What about for $1 million? Did you do it then?
For $1 million, I could give them a bunch of encrypted garbage that they can't decrypt, and I'll happily take the $1 million.
But I think that's great too. I mean, we do take that seriously, and it was a big ask for a lot of our users too.
Yeah,
they wanted this feature. It took some time to get there, but it was a big release for us, and I think it's made people a lot more comfortable in trusting us with that personal data.
Yeah.
And why is that more important to the user than Dropbox or iCloud? Past solutions.
Right. So we did support Dropbox and iCloud in the past, and those were great in the sense that we also did not have access to their information. The downside was that with all of those, we didn't control the user experience. Dropbox would sometimes take the photos that we were syncing and it display it in multiple places, and users like, hey, why do I have duplicate photos here? And then the users would delete some of the duplicate photos, and oops, they accidentally deleted Day One's copy, and now their journal is missing data, and they contact us, and we're like, well, sorry, I mean, there's not much we can do about this.
Yeah, sure.
So being able to control our own experience gives us a better customer support experience, better end user experience. But then we still want, with encryption, we want to be able to guarantee the same level of privacy that users expect and deserve.
Right.
Absolutely. Awesome. I'm a big fan of encryption.
Did your past experience at the backup company help you with that? Or is that a different process?
We did, I don't think we did a ton of encryption there. There was some encryption, but I wasn't involved in that. I did take a class in my college experience regarding cryptography, and at the time I thought, oh, this is a cool class, but I'll never use it.
Yeah.
And it turns out to have been one of the most useful classes that I took.
Nice.
That's cool.
Sounds cryptic to me, but I believe you.
I was telling Brett before the show that I did a career day at an elementary school in Salt Lake County. And I told them, for me, my educational path was non-traditional in the sense that I am not in a profession from which I graduated in with my baccalaureate degree. I graduated with a degree in Spanish teaching, and now I run a customer service department and social media and stuff like that. But sometimes I rely back on classes I did take in college that have helped me that I didn't think necessarily were going to be useful, but have ended up being extremely useful. I know that was kind of just a plug of you own your own career, you own your own education, and sometimes you may not see what something may benefit you until later.
Yes. Could I ask BJ, along the line of education, what would you suggest to kids, younger audiences, younger among us that are, us including myself, that are trying to still continue to develop education in the programming world? So say you want to be a developer someday, what would you recommend?
The biggest thing is just learn to be inquisitive, learn to ask questions. The best way to learn programming is a lot like the best way to learn anything else, which is just to sit down and try it.
Awesome.
If you're going to learn how to do anything, if you're going to learn how to play the piano, you can go read all the books you want, but at some point you have to just go sit down at the piano and plunk it out and figure out what's going wrong and try to do it. That's the same with computers. One thing that I learned early on is that in general, you can always undo what you did. I learned that I could experiment with my computer, and as long as I knew how to put it back to how it was before, there was no problem.
Yeah.
Command Z.
That's right.
Life.
If only life had a Command Z. I'm just kidding.
That's right. Mulligan.
Mulligan.
But there's so many ways. There's so many programs that you can learn, and a lot of it you can just try things out. You can go online and get a basic tutorial, or depending on what level of experience you already have. It's a lot just about trying it and ask questions, and don't be afraid to admit that you don't know something.
Definitely. I think that's important. Let me ask you this, because I'm curious from your perspective. What are some of the differences that you've noticed in working for a smaller software company versus larger corporations?
Sure. In smaller companies, everyone has a bigger say in what happens. When you're in a big company, you're a small piece of a large machine. And so it's like, well, your job is to implement this one thing, and whether you like it or not, you don't really have the communication lines to be able to change that. One of the things I like about working at Day One is that we can have these very open conversations about what's the best way to design this feature. What should the interface look like? How could we improve the user experience? So that's been really great. Of course, that does mean that there's bigger responsibility. When you work at a big company, lots of times you can do your 9 to 5, and at least in the positions that I was in, at the end of the day, you go home and you don't really have to think about it. Here, I find myself caring a lot more about how the work that I've done is received. I'll keep track of what's going on Twitter and people mentioning, Day One's great, or they're having a problem. And when I see people saying, there's this bug, it's not working for me, I kind of take it personally. It's like the work that I did isn't working, and I want to fix it for them.
Well, and that's kind of cool too, because that's been my same experience, especially on the customer service side. We're able to act on maybe even smaller bug fixes more quickly, rather than going through this larger process that it's got to be approved and whatnot. We can say, here's this bug, here's how to reproduce it, and we can get it through to a fix fairly quickly, right?
Right, yeah. I mean, I've had multiple times just in the last couple of weeks where Adam said, hey, we've got this issue, here's, user logs or whatever, and within a day or two, I had a fix out ready to go.
That's really cool. I'm passionate about that as well, in addition to just loving the product itself. How do you use Day One?
It's funny because I love hearing when we talk about other users that are using, I love hearing how they use it because it's so different. Like everyone uses it differently, right? And I love hearing the different user stories of how they use it. I use it a lot to capture the funny things that my kids say.
Yeah.
I've got one daughter who loves to draw. She's 6 years old, and some weeks she'll go through 50 sheets of paper just drawing sketches of puppies and kitties and unicorns and rainbows and just whatever she's passionate about. And so I use Day One to capture those. I'll take a picture of it and write my little notes of what she was doing and why she cared about that. And then we don't have a massive stack of paper just sitting in the corner anymore.
Oh man!
I use it to record the things that were memorable. Like I went to Hamilton and I wrote down what that experience was like.
I didn't know you went to Hamilton.
Yeah.
Did you mention that?
Yeah,
1,000 times.
Never mentioned. Yeah.
We'll be doing the entire production at the end of this episode, so just stay tuned.
Exactly.
Honestly, I don't use it as much as some of our users do. I think that's natural. Some people are going to use it more. For me, I capture the really exciting or interesting or passionate moments that happen in my life.
Yeah.
I keep thinking, I should set it up to record my thoughts every night, and whenever I set the timer, I'm always like, oh, that's not the convenient time. I'm always in the middle of dinner, or I'm in the middle of putting kids to bed. So I'm still trying to figure out the best place to get a more regular habit there. But I do love to record the memories that are likely to be forgotten.
Yes.
Love that.
Which is, oh man, I forget all the time. I can't remember yesterday sometimes.
I'm sorry, what did you just say?
Exactly.
I forgot.
Brett's only slightly older than me.
Ouch.
Just like a year or two, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
A year plus.
A few more gray hairs, but other than that,
Experience
he's
points.
a silver fox.
Ouch.
What? That's a compliment.
Okay.
You're like
Enough
the
of me.
Anderson Cooper of day one, okay? And I mean that in the most nice way.
Thank you. Thank you.
Did you have any more?
I was going to ask BJ with when he was talking about his daughter, do you have tags for when the drawings and the things that she says?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, so for each of my kids, I have a tag, and so I can go back and say, just all the things that Abby did or all the things that Kessa did. That's a lot of fun. That's another thing that I love is the on this day. You come back and you see, oh yeah, Abby drew this 3 years ago, or Abby was jumping down the stairs 3 years ago, and just the memories that come back, especially as a parent, and those tags help make it easy to explore and see the development of your children as you're growing up, which is great. I love that.
A little teaser on an upcoming interview. I talked to a gal yesterday, and well, I'm going to save it. I was going to give you a little teaser of it, but I think it's better just to
all right.
have it on the next
that's
podcast.
Fine. I need to get better at tags. I don't use tags at all. And I've talked to users that are like, oh, I want tags to do this and this. And I'm like, why? But I definitely see the benefit of cataloging that. And especially with a feature like book printing. Because let's say you want to print a book just for Emily, if you're tagging those entries with Emily in them, now I can just say, include these tags in my book, and then just those entries come out. And maybe that's a nice year-end gift that you give to them, or something that they can keep as a memory for throughout their life. I'm a big book printer, though. I have
awesome.
I think I already have 20 books.
Wow.
So
that's awesome. I know
that's
my
just
wife,
for this year, right?
no, I wish. No, that would be crazy. But I had 3 books for 2017 because there was so much content.
Wow. My wife uses day one. She'll record just the funny things, the random statements that kids make that you're just like, what does that even mean? Like my one daughter, instead of saying my hands are full, she'll say, I'm full of hands.
Yes.
She'll walk around and say, I'm full of hands. And so that goes in the journal.
That's hilarious. Yeah, my daughter's just learning about idioms right now, and so she'll identify them when she hears them. She's like, that's an idiom. That's an idiom. Oh, it's pretty hilarious.
That is cute.
So just speaking about the future, what features or development are you most looking forward to coming up in day one?
I'm excited about the stuff we're doing for audio recording, and I think that's going to lay a foundation that'll let us integrate a bunch more, rich media and make it so that you can record more of your memories and more of the things that you care about in your journal. I'm excited about that. We've got a good foundation being built there.
Cool. Awesome. I think a lot of people are excited about that one as well. Different ways to use it. Again, we've had musicians write in sometimes and say, I can't wait for audio because I want to record, songs I'm working on and stuff like that. That's a cool idea. And it's in a journal, play it back. So
yes,
cool.
That's awesome.
And I'm having a hard time not sharing all these experiences from these interviews I'm having. I think it's better to spread them out.
Let them speak for themselves.
Just a quick one. Tor from Sweden I talked to, and I love that he's a photographer as well, so he'll go out in nature. He has a journal for nature called Nature. He'll go out on a hike and he'll take photos. He'll come back and touch them up and fix them. And at the same time, when he's out, he will record an audio clip of the ambiance.
Oh, cool.
Just what he's listening to, what's happening that day. And then he says, I can't wait for audio to be built into day one so I can include that with my photo, with my reflection while I was hiking in my nature journal.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I like that a lot. Well, that's about all the time we have here, but I'm excited to thank you for being with us today, BJ.
Happy to be here.
Yeah.
We hope that your experience with Day One will continue to grow, and if you have questions or comments or experiences that you want to share with us, please write to us at podcast@dayoneapp.com. And then also check out, you're going to have to tell me the Calendly. I can't do it.
CALENDLY.
Calendly.
Calendly.com/day1app.
Look at the link below in case you can't understand us.
Once you go there, you can bookmark it.
Right. And then you can schedule time with us to do a like a Skype call, and we'll record it and get your feedback about how you use Day One, what you're looking forward to, your experience with that. So check that out.
And please, no pressure. A few have been nervous, like, oh, I really love to do this, but I'm afraid, nervous. No, it's just so informal, and that's what makes it fun. It's just conversational. I get to hear more about how you use Day One, and then share highlights in upcoming podcasts.
And be sure also to follow us on social media. We're at twitter.com/day1app or just at day1app. And on Instagram at day1app and facebook.com/day1app. So check us out there. And be sure to subscribe to this show. You can do that on iTunes. You can do that on Stitcher or on any podcast service that you use. We're also on Spotify, which is cool. A lot of people I know use Spotify, so it's a cool place to get a hold of us. But we look forward to talking with you more in the next couple of weeks. So everyone, hope you have a great week.
Thanks for listening.